Good evening, Demonfield Comics in More New Jersey here. Got another interview for you this evening. It's a little bit later on this one, but trust me, if you're still up and watching this thing, it's going to be worth it. It's going to be some fun. So before we get started on this, as you come in here, if you'll go ahead and let me know in the comments you can see and hear me, I would appreciate that. My guest is going to be sharing from her end over there on the link to go ahead and send that out as well as I am doing on my side as well. Hope everyone's had a great day, been able to get a lot accomplished, had some fun, enjoyed the sun if it was out there in your particular area. It kind of rained over here most all day, so it wasn't as much fun. But then again, I'm stuck indoors all day, so it doesn't really matter. But let me go ahead and get everything set up over here. All right, we're getting to that point. All right, so give this about another minute. Let people go ahead and jump in here. Let me know we can see and hear on this end, and we'll get this thing started. Again, I appreciate everybody staying up here and watching this and all. We're going to have some fun with this. I've had some great interviews, and we're not stopping that tempo anytime soon. Tonight is no different than that. And let me go ahead and pull the banner. We will get started on this. All right. Demonfield Comics in More New Jersey. I am here with yet another interview. And before we get started, I always go through and thank my sponsors. And tonight's going to be no different on that. So let me go ahead and go through that real quick. First up, we have Sub-Zero Mission, which, as everybody knows, is a huge one with me. They actually save lives in their area by going ahead and providing the tools necessary to survive the winter seasons out there for the homeless vets. So if you don't know enough about this and you want to know more, hit me up. I will give you all the information you could possibly need. Totally Rad Comics, which has got Totally Rad Life of Violet #3, which comes out on Kickstarter June 16th. You definitely want to get on board on that one. Third Empire has got Mojo Rising is coming out on Tuesday of next week. I will actually have a launch party for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. We'll put it that way. Get your mojo on. Codex Entertainment has got Lily the Demoness #4 is coming out in July. You definitely want to be on board for that one. 183 Degree Studio, which is Kara Nicole, Alfred Trujillo. They have Confessions of a Cosplay Diva, which is right now on Kickstarter. You want to go ahead and take a look at that one. Comic Art Groupie, which is Wendy Steen Shaner, has got Naughty Fairies #4, which will be coming out the latter part of next month. And then, of course, our final sponsor is Pantsless Pizza. And if you don't know that much about Pantsless Pizza, a lot of people don't as of yet, you'll be finding out a lot more information as we keep going along with this. So, all right, that's our sponsors for the show and everything. So let me go ahead and introduce my guest. This one's going to be an interesting interview because I can't even say what she's working on without actually cursing. So if you get a little offended by that one, sorry about your luck on that one, but it's going to happen. So she actually writes a series called Demon Bitch, and her name is Christie Shinn. We're going to bring her up and we're going to have some fun, get to know her and what all she does.
Hi, guys. What's up?
Hey, thank you for being here, Christie.
Thank you.
Hey, for those that are out here that don't know who you are, if you'll go ahead and let us know who you are, what you do, where to find you.
Okay, well, my name is Christie Shinn. I'm the creator of Demon Bitch, a low-level demon from the 13th pit of hell, where people throw their dog crap and gum wrappers. And she wants to bring the second coming of Armageddon, but the first one never happened because she is dumb. So she represents to me all the women that treated me bad in my life, like really horribly. And I think every woman can relate to this. And it's just satirizing all of that. Oh, crap. Sorry, I got a fat-ass black cat here, see? She's ruining everything right now. She's pissed at me right now for saying that. But anyway, so yeah, I do that. I draw, and I do a lunch hour actually at 12:30 Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday. And I just sit there and I draw and engage my audience. You can find Demon Bitch on Webtoon. And currently I'm doing a shitty tarot for that. And it's not really a tarot deck. It's another type of fortune telling deck. But the premise is that she's so stupid that she's just going to call it that. So, and you get a face dusty mask bandana. So it's a custom, it's like a bandana with all these stupid designs on it of, maybe we should go and somebody should take DMT and talk to the coronavirus. And then the last one is commemorating actually a big life event. I gave birth last year in late August, early September. And what that was a pancreatic tumor that was 6 inches big. And some people are like, because they are really surprised that I'm actually as healthy as I am. And it's weird because I actually had one of the more intense operations. What it is that they found the tumor at 6 inches. So it's like my friend's like, geez, and he's a big dude. So it was a 6-inch tumor. They found it on the head of my pancreas where they usually go. And when they first found it, it was actually news to me because I felt like tired and worn out. Like maybe I had an infection, like a kidney infection. You know how it kind of feels that way? If you've had infections before like that, like a bladder infection or something, you kind of feel off. You kind of feel run down. So kept getting run down. I kept getting sick. So I was like, and it wasn't like life-threatening. It was like a cold or flu. And after a while, I was just hurting so bad. I just woke up one day. I just felt terrible. So I just went over to the hospital, the emergency room. I wasn't falling over or puking. So they did an ultrasound to an actual CAT scan. And that's when they found it. I have no idea how they thought of doing that. I mean, I think they just ran it up and down my abdomen. And I thought they were going to just give me antibiotics and that was it. And nope, I ended up going straight to the other hospital where I got signed up with a bunch of specialists. Very, very good. Dr. Carvajal, awesome dude. He could do this stuff with his eyes closed. So eventually the procedure, what they did on me was they took out 70% of my pancreas because it had been consumed by tumor. They thought I was going to be diabetic. They had to remove part of my stomach because my stomach, the lower part of the stomach is closely tied into the blood circulation. So if they just took out my tumor, then the rest of my stomach would have died. That would not have been a good thing. And I feel really, really sad because my gallbladder had to be removed. There was nothing wrong with it. They just had to rewire everything onto my small intestine. That is some shit to go through, let's just say, in short. And it was kind of an interesting experience because I actually dropped weight like crazy. I've dropped almost about 40 pounds. A lot of people have noticed how much healthier I look. But just this thing was just weighing me down. Like I was kind of like, in retrospect, compared to now, I was a lot more grumpy and irritable all the time because, your body's like fighting against this thing all the time. So, yeah. So basically when I first drew it and dealing with like, oh my God, I have a huge ass tumor. It was a pancreas with big tits because each of the cysts were 3 inches. And I was like, well, I got to draw it with tits. And then like I saw the pictures of it and it was just the CAT scan of it. And then so I did it. I actually asked the surgeon. Yes, I did ask the surgeon, could you please take the picture for me? And he just gave me this weird look. So, I mean, I just wanted to see it. I wanted to see what it looked like. I mean, I got to go and take a plate out of my leg. I got to keep that. I got to keep my wisdom teeth. So I'm like, come on, do me a favor, man. I mean, like one of the other comic creators I know, she had a double lung transplant. And she actually got to touch her old lungs. She said, and I said, how'd that feel? And she's like, oh, it's kind of weird. But then we kind of related, like, God, I missed that organ, even though it got replaced. So it's like this weird macabre thing. But anyway, so I have a 3-inch pancreas tits pin going on, and that will all be there. And once I hit 2,500, even though that's not the complete goal, I will be revealing 2 more pins, and they will have big boobies. And no, that's not nudity. I know that sounds weird, but it's regarding Cove-Thick 19 and the Plague Doctor, and that's going to be hilarious. And one will be glitterily and one will be glowing. So
nice. Now I know because I actually got one of your books, and it was interesting because I had made mention that I wanted you to go ahead and sign that, and you said, "Oh, I'm going to draw in it," and I figured I would get like one small thing in there, whatever. Oh no, it's like somebody went through and drew on just random pages in there, and it is great because you never know what you're going to get, and no two are the same, I'm sure.
oh yeah, like I mean sometimes like I'll kind of give people like the same writing because it's pretty funny, and they're obviously not going to be in the same house or in the same area or whatever. So I just like draw stuff, like I just write really rude things, like on the Demon Bitch cocktail I think I wrote something disgusting on there. And then especially like it seems like people really liked me signing the tumor because I have a picture of my tumor. I have an actual CAT scan image of my tumor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just, and it's funny because like on the spur of the moment, sorry, like cat hair in my nose, the spur of the moment, somebody asked me, oh, what'd you name your tumor? And I guess past a certain point, you have to name them. So I said, well, okay, Casey Anthony, because she tried to kill me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it was funny.
Now, I got a few questions I was going to ask you, just trying to get to know you a little bit more before we kind of delve into your Kickstarter a little bit more too.
Sure.
So the first thing I wanted to ask is, how did you get your start into the industry?
I've always been into comics. I mean, I've read Marvel. I guess I'm sort of Marvel DC type of person, but only with certain characters. Like I like Batman DC, and then but I like some of the X-Men. I actually really like Psylocke, but in all honesty, I mean, the thing is, I'm more into independent comics. So I grew up with so I read Love and Rockets. There was Eclipse where they had all the anime Eclipse comics back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And they had Dirty Pair, Adam Warren. I have yet to meet him. I would love to meet him. He's one of the big guys that I got into drawing, and he's insanely good. There was also Alita Battle Angel. I like that too. So it's like I got a big dose of manga, uh, mainstream superhero, but a lot of really underground. I like the underground stuff because you could swear and they wrote about really messed up shit. But I started laughing, like stuff that you couldn't put anymore. Like, I mean, we have slapstick and stuff, but it's not to the level like how it was in the 40s and 50s, even 60s, but even 40s and 50s. You're like, holy shit, they're doing this. And I was watching this as a kid, like the old Tom and Jerry, and I noticed nowadays everybody's like, oh, the kids are going to do this stuff and everything. It's like, I wasn't an idiot. I didn't go and think, I'm going to jump out of the frickin', window with a corset and try to fly around like a frickin' bat, like what Tom did in one of the older ones. But I think I just like the older, more raw things, the crazier, raw stuff of independent comics. Like I liked, sorry, my hair's all wonky. Now I fucked it up even more. Sorry. But like I was like,
Okay, mine's all messed up too, so I think we're okay.
oh, there you go. Right. So what it is that I like stuff that had swear words. I had stuff that talked about like life, like Love and Rockets, even though some of it was based in fantasy for a while. Like they had Maggie the Mechanic, but then Jaime Hernandez went more into that, and Palomar with I think Gilbert did Palomar. Sometimes I'm like weird about it. So Gilbert, and I met them. They're really cool guys, and it's kind of weird how now it's kind of gone this whole 180 where I've met people that I grew up reading, and I'm like, holy shit, I read your book. And they're totally cool, laid back people.
Mm-hmm.
I met Howard Chaykin. He's really awesome too. And I got to pick up a copy of Black Kiss, but just stuff like that. And I would sometimes go and pick erotic or sexual comics, not because I'm like, ooh, I'm getting my rocks off, but it just interested me how people would just read about that, And there are some really good artists. I like Milo Manara. He's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people are like, oh, we were really offended by that woman Spider-Man. It's like, you hired an erotic comic book artist. Of course he's going to draw everything suggestive and sexual. Of course, it's and you're getting pissed about it, so there's that. But I really like the rawness. I really like the fact that they talked about things or did things that you couldn't do in a certain sense of Marvel or DC. Now, Marvel and DC, you can kill people. You can be pretty gory and violent. It's not that. But there was a certain other level of darkness or edge to it. So one of my favorite contemporaries of comics is Johnny Ryan. And he did Prison Pit. And that is literally some dude that you knew in high school who was a big stoner. And he'd just draw these weird heavy metal drawings of people killing each other or bikini chicks and stuff. And it's just funny because it's just he's this dude in his own head. And he's just kind of free drawing it. And another one of my friends, Lawrence Hubbard, he does Raw Dog. He does Real Deal Comics, and that shit is so funny. We just sit there and we start laughing because we have the most fucked up sense of humor ever. It was actually based off real characters. Demon Bitch is actually based off real characters in my life that I've encountered of women. And it has a certain edge to it where it's just just shut up, it's not pussyfooting around and dialogue or trying to figure out dialogue. It's just shut the hell up, or stupid things like they're calling each other names that are awful and terrible, and you're just laughing. And it's with Johnny Ryan, he says some stuff in Prison Pit because it's supposed to be a prison pit for the worst criminals, and they say some really gnarly shit. But then it's what are they going to say to you? Please, thank you. No, they're awful hardcore prisoners. They're going to say whatever they're going to want to say. And it's just blood and violence and gore and rubber monsters and shit and, gross things. So I just like that freedom in indie comics, I guess, in this long, weird way that I talk about it. I just like raw stuff. Hey, Russell, how's it going?
So he
One of them
said,
was a shake, if I remember correctly. I'm
shake.
trying to remember which is shake.
I'm trying to remember that one.
I think it was a poo shake, like somebody was holding a cup full of crap because I was making fun of the character or something. Maybe there's that one. But thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean,
Now,
I can't see you guys comment, so I can only see it if it's up there, guys. So, but I
well, that's
always
why I'm
like,
gonna bring it up so you can see that at least.
oh yeah. I do this. I kind of do the same or try to, but I'm just letting guys know if I don't see it. Sorry, I'd like to answer everyone.
Now, for anybody that's in here right now, anybody that'll be watching this later on or anything, if you are easily offended, this is not the book or the series or anything to get into with this. If you're easily disgusted, this is not what you want to get into. But if you have that really messed up mentality that these kind of things make you giggle a lot and laugh out loud at certain things that you probably shouldn't be, or shouldn't be alone, at least, because it's better whenever you're with friends laughing about this kind of stuff. This is what you need to get into. But this is not a kid's book. I'm gonna throw that out there right
No,
now.
no. Although it was funny, like I was cracking up. Definitely was you. I like people who just say it like this. Thank you so much, Russell. Yeah, it's just like with him, it was. I mean, sorry, with stuff like that, it's funny because I was at ShiroCon and it was at Westfield Mall last year, and I went to this one this year shortly before everything shut down. But I started laughing. Like there's this very cute 13-year-old girl, and I'm like, I can't sell you my comic, unless if her mom's with her and it's okay, but. She's like going, no, that's okay. And then she just looked at the cover like, because like she could read it. It's like, what it says.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, but it reminded me when I was 13, like I would read the weird shit all the time. I mean, sometimes I'd go in the 18 and behind until they told me, get the hell out of there. You're not allowed back there. And it's funny because it kind of floors me because like there are some women that I've known that have like had these stories of like guys in comic book stores being assholes to them because they were girls. I said, that never happened to me. I think it was just like, I just sort of like did whatever. I mean, when they told me to like stop fucking looking at comics, they wanted me to actually buy shit. Like, but they never were like, oh, you're a girl. Why are you here? They just said, oh, you're some fucking kid and you're reading comics. I'm like
now
it didn't really matter to them.
That actually brings up my next question is, growing up, what comics were actually the ones that you actually gravitated towards whenever you're younger?
Oh, well, I had a lot of plethora of comics. I mean, I told you some of them, anime and all that. One of the other comics that I actually grew up on is manhwa. Now people say, oh, manga. And I said, it's not the same. Manga is Japanese. That's Japanese comics. Manhwa is Korean style comics. And I think I might have a book up here. Now that I think of it, it might be.
What's up, Ed? Thank you for coming to the show.
Hey, what's up, dude? Sorry. So one of them is like really loved and well written, and this has like my fucking like awesome new thing right here. So it's my Korean's terrible, but Osangwa Hanon, and I guess it's about a famous scholar, and like okay, so now Korean comics are kind of polished or more polished looking. Like if you go on Webtoon, that's a Korean platform for webcomics, even though there's famous comics like Lore Olympus is on there. It's like, and they got just picked up by Jim Henson. But like with this stuff right here.
I'll give you full screen. There you go.
Yeah. So it's like this demented shit where they have the big head and the eyeballs and everything. And like how this guy, I forgot what his name was, this manhwa artist, but he would actually draw. Like I remember seeing a picture of him. And he would actually draw with a toothpick dipped in ink, and it was just this demented shit. And I was laughing. I mean, he's done other ones. Like, I don't know if he's actually still alive. I think he's like, would be very old by now. But it's just the demented ass, like drawing, like you're giggling while you're drawing. So I love stuff like that. I mean, they also had the serious, like straight line comics and manhwa, and I have one in the next room. And it's like I grew up on that. And I know some people look at my stuff and they say, oh, Real Monsters, this and that. But I never really watched that show. I mean, I'm familiar with what the show was, but I never really watched it, even though I like some of the character designs. But it was never a copy. But then I realized, looking at Demon Bitch, even though I drew all sausagey and I was pissed off, I realized that it was just probably from Korean manhwa like this. Like, that's why people are going like, wow, I never saw anything like it before. And I think it was because of this, like stuff like this I grew up with, because they would actually have big heads and like weird ass buggy eyes and huge mouths in proportion. And I'm not, as I said, you do have the nice, pretty Bushoju style manga. I don't know the Korean word for it, but that type of style. But here it was just like, that's what I grew up on, because we would be just laughing so hard at this stuff. And some of them were just really scandalous, let's say, because I was telling Lawrence about some of them. Like, I'll just say, like, one of them was in Africa, and we're going to leave it at that. It was bad. I was just like, wow. Like, I'm a kid from America. I was born and raised here. So it's like this whole thing, and it's changed a lot in Korea. I do want to stress this. This was like in the late 70s, very early 80s. So this was very different time. And I would just read these things and I'm like, I'm a kid from America. I'm growing up with other races and nationalities and ethnicities. And like Korea's like was at the time and still is largely homogenous in ethnicity, right? So I'm reading this and then like I'm reading this and it's about like the jungle. And I'm like, I was like, what the fuck is this? You know, it's like, it was just like crazy. And of course, like that does not go into my comics, but it just being exposed. But then you start laughing, not because the subject matter itself is funny, but just how absurdly cartoonish some of this shit is.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's the best way I can say it. And it's like, sometimes it's that ridiculousness of loss and noise in your head. So I think that's why also independent comics, even though they're not into that mode, but the fact of the same matter of loss of noise is really, really, really like crazy on that level, because it's like that, like Johnny Ryan will just show some dude ripping a guy's head off and peeing on him. And you're just like, you just start laughing because this is ridiculous. Like he did this one called The Miracle, which is about like a Zardoz like head. And it just turns people, it's basically the star energy and it's the Christmas star, but it's just horrifying. So we were laughing about that, my friends and I. So it's just like, so it's just really horrifying, weird stuff like that. But I like it because in a way, I like Demon Bitches. It's like this childish sort of humor, but it's like there's a certain sophistication to it because I'm trying to shock you. I'm trying to knock you out of your sensibility. And I know with obscenity, sometimes with obscenity, it's like, oh, let's do duty and poo-poo jokes and boobies. And it's like, no, there's a certain art you have to do to it. If you just drew shit all the time, I mean, it's like, okay, it's only funny so much. But if you just do it in a really ludicrous fashion, it actually is an art form. And like with Demon Bitch, where she's going, shut up back there. It's like a commentary about somebody that I knew that backstabbed everybody. And then she would go on, you know, Facebook and start saying, she would be crying and screaming why everybody hated her. And I'm like, because you fucking backstab people. Like, you are horrible to people. You are mean. It's like this sort of weird disconnection that people have about each other.
Now, the first thing, and Russell's got a comment, I'm fixing to go to that one as well. So the first thing is whenever I got my book, you were talking about, you know, with the obscene sense of humor and everything, because I have a very dark sense of humor. I mean, Demon. You see that right there? Demon. There's a reason that name is there. Yeah. So anyway, not the same demon she draws by any means, trust me.
Yeah, right.
But you were talking about, you know, that sense of humor is actually, you take it to the next level, because just going ahead and putting things in there and just having the shock factor is one thing, but to have the shock factor to the point where you're laughing and you don't realize why you're laughing so hard and you just laugh harder at that fact. I actually dropped the book, I think it was twice while I was reading it, just because I was laughing so hard. It's one of those things that it catches you off guard. So if you just want to lighten the mood and just, you know, throw everything that's in the world off to the side and just be in your own little bubble for a little while, that's the best way to do it. I'm telling you right now. So you definitely need to get hold of that book. But Russell put a comment up here, and I agree with Russell on this.
Yeah, it's like I laughed all the ways he took psycho people out. My family, my wife's just looking at me like a psycho. Well, it is kind of cartoonish. I mean, when you think about it, Rambo, like, he was kind of lampooned for having that voice and having the weird slow-mo. I mean, obviously, like, the Rambo now, the last two movies were probably shot better. And I noticed, like, some people got really upset and sickened at the movie. Like, oh, my God, this is, like, typical male violence. I said, come on, I grew up with this shit. It's like my dad, actually, we sat down and watched Predator. I
Mhm.
mean, and in some ways, like some of the 80s movies were really cool, and some of them were really extraordinarily stupid sometimes. Like what grossed you out as a kid, like now you laugh at, like RoboCop. Like I got
Mhm.
pissed off at the new version of RoboCop because I'm like, come on. It's like Detroit Steel. Like he's supposed to be ponderous and heavy and a tank. And I didn't care if they remade him. I just got annoyed because they took the idea of RoboCop
Yes.
and just changed it around. And I got kind of, I mean, I knew what they were trying to do. I knew what they were trying to do. It's not like I'm a total purist, but it's like the story of RoboCop is this.
Mhm.
And it was like it was all carbon fiber. I'm like, what is this stuff? Come on, man. I know it's the future, but this is Detroit. It's still gritty. It's still this. You still have that. And even though we're technically in the future now, because I think RoboCop, I think, was supposed to take place, the original one. Oh God. I watched the scene where he shot the guy in the head at point blank range like 100 times, dying, laughing. Sucks to be you, dude. Yeah, I mean, like you had freaking Predator, which was like brilliant. Like how it
Mhm.
was shot, like it was actually good, even though it was a sci-fi thing and it had this crazy amount of violence. It was actually a good movie, like when you
Mhm.
read it. And then when you did, let me see, Total Recall, like that was really good too. It had a good story and a good message, but it was just outlandish, over the top violence. But now you can look at it and laugh. Oh yeah, and RoboCop, like where he falls into the fucking thing of toxic waste, or it falls on him, and he's just
Mhm.
this mutated blob. He's like, ah, and he gets hit by
Uh-huh.
a car, and you just laugh. It's just like it's ridiculous. It's like it's not real. That's why you're laughing. And people, like, I mean, I understand sometimes theatrical violence can be a bit much. Like there are times on certain movies I'm like, okay, I can't. But overall, it's like if it's not real, then hey, do it. Like I think Reservoir Dogs was pretty much over the top, but that was actually kind of realistic. Not that they were actually cutting his ear off, but just like the,
Right.
the things. It was just not this over the top acting like like that.
The
So
last movie that I think I went to go see in the theater was the third John Wick. And I remember we were in there watching it, and it came up to the scene. And if you've seen the John Wick movies, it's the one where they're in the small hallway area, and they've got all
oh,
the
I saw
sharp
that three.
objects.
Right? It was three,
Yeah, number
right?
three. Yeah. And they have all the sharp objects in there that they're throwing at each other and just tearing it up and everything. I'm in there dying laughing, and there is a couple that's over to the side. It's like an elderly couple. The guy is kind of smirking and snickering at things on there. The woman, she's appalled, and she looks over and she's like, "How can you be laughing at this?" And I'm like, "How can you not?"
I mean, I was watching it with my niece, and she was really nauseated when they stabbed the dude in the eye, and I kind of started laughing because it was sort of like I didn't bother me because it was all CG. Like to me, it looks kind of fake. I mean, it's not that if they did it in the '80s and they did the same makeup, or the '90s, it would look less
Hmm.
fake, but it would be more visceral because, like, oh, you're actually stabbing something, right?
Yep.
It's like, yeah, totally. The best way to explain is I laugh at the movies, but when my wife watches trauma in the ER, I want to pass it. Well, because it's real, like it's actual
Yeah,
people in pain.
I
I
agree.
kind of, yeah, I was kind of in that one mode. Like I was an adult when the internet first started, a young, college age, adult. And we would just like look at all the hardcore shit like ogrish.com and rotten.com and shit. And we wouldn't laugh, but it's like, oh shit, look at that, man. That's
Right.
gross.
Right.
So it's like, but I was watching like open heart surgeries as a kid. So like, I just think I got kind of fascinated with the mechanics of the body. But it's like weird now where it's like you kind of know the psychology of somebody who just takes pictures of that shit and posts it online compared to somebody that does it. And that even seems off. Like I kind of noticed that on some levels, like sometimes lately. It's like, yeah, any asshole can take a picture of a crime scene and put it up. And even though that's considered sick, that's sort of what people do for sensationalism. But I've
Right.
noticed that early experience when I've seen some people do it and they put it up, I said, this is weird. I don't know why they did that. It's kind of strange. I can't tell why, but it's like
Hmm.
there's something kind of orchestrated or rehearsed or off about even doing that.
You
So,
truly know whenever you're desensitized to watching things, whenever you can watch Dexter and it's nothing but like a rom com.
right, right. I mean, I watched Autopsy back in the day, so it was like, oh, okay. It's like kind of like I kind of had this curiosity to see what you shouldn't see. Like,
Hmm.
oh, we have this issue with death. We have this issue with this. It's gross. I always was kind of fascinated by death on a certain level. I know people are kind of like thinking that's morbid. Why don't you focus on being alive? I said, Actually just focusing on death, you're a little bit more adjusted because you're
Hmm.
not obviously if you just sat there and said, I am going to be so glad when I die one day. And you're just like, okay, all right, buddy, so, but if you're going like, hey, I'm kind of morbid. I like coffins and shit and weird things. And, sometimes I look at autopsy videos and shit. It's like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think we all have this desire to kind of see what we shouldn't see.
Hmm.
And I think we have this innate curiosity of death. And because death has been kind of removed from us in so many different ways, like the Victorians, they had pictures of memento mori where like, hey, here's my husband. He just died, but I'm holding his hand. We're having one last picture. And they're like sitting together. And this was like a photo that it's not like a quick Polaroid, like, oh yeah, here. It's more
Hmm.
of like you had to sit straight, like at that. And it was weird. I mean, it was like, I can't even see myself doing that where I'm taking pictures. Now it's like we're kind of gotten back into that, but in a lesser, more crass thing. Like I've known of people that take selfies and goes, oh, here's my grandma's funeral. And I'm like, but that's the thing. Like
Hmm.
one of my buddies, I was at a job at one point and he told me, oh yeah, I'm going to go see somebody's mom died. So I'm going to go to their funeral. I'm like, all right, that's cool. So like I go back on work on break and I open up and I look at my messenger and there's like a picture of her in the casket. And then I was like, what the? And so I messaged him and said, why the fuck did you send me this? Like, I wasn't mad. It
Right.
didn't upset me. I was just like, why are you sending me this? And he said, no, no, no. And he showed the picture of his friend, her son, taking a picture like this. His mom. And I'm like, I just started laughing. I mean, it was just ridiculous. So it's like, I think it's like one of those, that added element of death that is like, makes me laugh. I don't know why.
I mean, sometimes you gotta. It's the things that we don't understand that we fear the most, and we're in denial a lot of times because death is inevitable for anybody. We just don't know whenever it's going to happen. So why not live like it's going to happen at any given time and enjoy life a little bit more? And I think you've kind of embraced that a little bit, and especially laughing at it in the way you do in your works, which is really kind of disgusting but kind of cool at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I've been through a lot of shit in my own thing, and I'm not comparing myself to others, but that's how I dealt with it. That's how I
Hmm.
laughed at it. It's just like things that really messed up, abuse and everything. I mean, my family's fine. It's just, in general, like some of my life experiences, it's like, well, I could be upset. And yeah, I could rightfully be upset and victimized and all this other stuff and live in a certain state, but I didn't want to live in that state anymore. I wanted to go past it. It doesn't mean that I forget it. It doesn't mean I deny it ever happened. It's just that I am done being in the state of feeling bad. And then I kind of want to move forward and be in a state where I'm healthy and I'm healed of it, with some experience.
Hmm.
And, I mean, it's like one of those things, like with the shut up thing. That's kind of funny. It's like somebody just wreaking havoc and they turn, because I've met people that have wreaked freaking emotional, physical, whatever havoc on somebody or a bunch of people. And then they're going like, they're all crying that nobody likes them. And I'm like, because you're a piece of shit. That's why.
Hmm.
So,
Now, we keep kind of mentioning about Demon Bitch and everything, and I want to bring that up now because you had mentioned earlier about being able to basically get inside your head, and that's just it's what's going to not paper, but you do the digital, but yeah, to go ahead and show up on there. And I've watched you draw a lot of these things, and it's funny because just whenever I think that you have no more ideas to go with, you're coming up with, oh, I had this great idea today. We're going to draw this on our show today, and I'm like, wow, that's something I never would have thought of. That's putting it out of the wheelhouse there. But you can definitely tell where it's like the chaos, like you said, that goes on inside the head. You can actually pull it out, put it on to there, draw it directly, and that's how you come up with the style that you do with a Demon Bitch. So if you can kind of talk about the different characters that are involved and why the style is the way that it is.
well, initially when I drew Demon Bitch, there were a few girls that I had been friends with. Like the premise of Demon Bitch is like how women kind of treat each other like shit in a lot of friendships. I'm going to say that there's a very, very toxic femininity presence with women, with each other. I've unfortunately had to deal with it very many times. And I'm not saying that women are evil or horrible. I mean, I'm one. And I think when you find really awesome women to be friends with, that makes it the world better. but I think you have this certain level of betrayal when a person of your own gender betrays you on the way that you expect or been taught to expect that the other gender will do. So for me, Demon Bitch was kind of like the thing about, like, I was really angry at a few women that were really terrible people. Like, just, they'd lie, they'd cheat, they'd steal, the typical gamut, not only with me, but other people. But even then, if it was just with me, that's still messed up. And I just decided to draw them in the most unflattened way possible. If this is the book I buy to read, then gift to my wife. Hey, honey, I found your autobiography. Yeah, that's a sad, sick part. Like, a lot of women have been screwed over bad by other women. It's really, really sad. And I don't find that many books about it. I mean, there are, but I draw it. And it's kind of funny. The amount of women that come up to me and said, this is funny as fuck. It's like, seriously, I totally get this. Like, and a lot of men read it, and I don't think they read it to discount or discredit women. I actually have never gotten that commentary. I think they just want to kind of understand why women act the way they do, in one sense, like what trauma shapes their thing or what experiences, but to really kind of get, wow, girls are really mean to each other. I wonder what they mean by that. And you're like, oh shit, that they can be that mean. And with Demon Bitch, when I drew it, I was pissed. I really hated a few people, like a few women, and those types of women. And especially, like, there were a couple women in mind that I had this when I drew it. And I just drew it in the most unflattering, like with a rubber mouth and the fucking, like, attention seeking, the buggy eyes, and like just the sloppy body. Like, I just deliberately drew it like a white sausage, essentially. And just like with the fetish gear. And again, this is not anybody that's into fetish or any of those, like, scenes. It's not that, but the people that would act like that, and they would give that scene a bad name. Not that I was seriously into that scene, but they sometimes were. And I had friends in those scenes, and they just were trash. I mean, it's essentially like, for people that are polyamorous or in one thing, there's always that asshole that has to ruin it for everybody. Mm-hmm. So I drew it, and I just this kind of anger towards that person's self-entitlement while treating other people like garbage pissed me off. So I just drew, and it was all the shit that they ever did. And some people say, I don't get that. Why did you draw that? I said, that actually happened. That actually happened, dude. It totally fucking happened. Like, they go like, wait a minute. Somebody actually said, why don't we maybe we should take DMT and talk to the coronavirus? That nobody said that. I'm like, you sure as fuck did. And I already had a low enough bar for them. So when I draw them, I kind of draw them like ugly, like how they are inside. Thank you, Meredith. I love your art. It's a good fuck you to ugly people. It brings a certain amount of joy. Laugh out loud. It does. It's kind of sad. I just draw them the meanest and ugliest that I possibly can, because when you look at these people, they are mean and ugly. And and I'm glad that people can see beyond that and say, well, you're just not being superficially judgmental. I said, no, there are some, it's like, just because you're this thing does not mean automatically you're a good person. Like, I've met plenty of people that were fat or overweight that were wonderful people, but I've also met fat pieces of shit, and, people get it. They're not saying, oh, you think fat people are pieces of shit. No, obviously not. They're people. It's like, just because you have a certain condition, just because you have a certain thing, does not make you a good person automatically. Like, some people with conditions, or some people with mental disorders or something, they think, oh, but they can do no wrong. It's like, no, some of them are assholes. You'll have to understand that. Oh, but that's their condition. I said, certain things I understand are their condition. But the thing is that some of them, quite a lot of them, choose to be dicks. But it doesn't mean all of them are dicks. Like, I have friends that are high functioning Asperger autism spectrum. They're on this spectrum. Sorry, it's been a long day. Like, I've had friends that have been on the high spectrum of autism. They're wonderful people. They're great people. But I have met my share also of people on the spectrum that are dicks, that use their condition to get away with things. And it's just because you have a condition does not make you a nice person. I hope my pantsless condition doesn't make me an asshole. Well, don't involve a cactus and you're fine, Russell. But yeah, it's like, as I said, it's like also within certain faculties. But I mean, just because you have a condition, just because I'm a girl doesn't automatically make me a good person. Just because if you're a guy doesn't automatically make you a good person either, but it shouldn't make you automatically a bad person. But if you're an asshole, you're an asshole. And sometimes you're an asshole in that way that you choose to use it as. There are girls that will use their body to fucking get shit. It's known. Guys do that too. You can go and make fun of that and call it out because it does happen. But then again, it's like, it's not a call to like shame sex workers because they're doing what they want to do. And they actually have, priorities in place. But with Demon Bitch, like I knew a girl that was a sex worker that did that, but she was an asshole and she made a bad name for sex workers. Like she was really skeezy about it. And it's like, no, you don't get to do that. Like sex work is like, it's a legitimate form of work. But, it's not something, I don't shame people for it. But this person I shamed because it was like, she was being an asshole about it. It was giving other people that are involved in sex work a bad name. So.
Now, I want to talk about the campaign that you've got going right now.
Sure.
Let me go ahead and bring up, that's where you go ahead and go and take a look at it and everything. But I will say this, because I know Lewis had said that he's intrigued and he wanted the link. The links are actually embedded in both the YouTube and the Facebook right at the very top. If you just go up and look in the description, I put all the links up there. So if you click on see more, you'll be able to go ahead and click directly and go directly to them. But I want to go ahead and talk about the campaign, because one thing that I noticed whenever I went and looked at it is it doesn't have physical books this time. You have the digital books, and then you have several other smaller physical things that are on there. If you'll kind of discuss about the things that are available on this particular campaign and how much longer you have on that too.
I have 25 days on the campaign. So right now what it was something new. Like the other campaigns were to publish the books of Demon Bitch. And there is, if you hit a stretch goal past this, but I wanted to do something more merch. And I thought, okay, this is a good time and everything. And ironically, I kind of thought up of a tarot deck, but it's really a Lenormand style deck. It's a form of fortune telling deck that's actually fairly common. But the thing is like people are going like, you should really do a tarot deck. You should really do a tarot deck. But for me, it's like, if it doesn't gel, it doesn't come out right. I tried doing a bit of a tarot. I'm like, it didn't come out. But I like the Lenormand style because the Lenormand style has images and imagery, symbolic imagery, but it's not so extensive. I think it's like 36 cards, but while the tarot has like 78. And I may do another, may actually do a tarot deck, but at this point I didn't see a use for it. But then what I do is I bring guest artists on. So I did 10 oracle cards. So that's like kind of the fan art part of my book. So the thing is, I just thought, I ran a Kickstarter earlier in the year on the book. I'm going to go do the cards because that's what I wanted to do. So I went ahead. So there's the shitty tarot deck, and I made a joke of it. It's like, it's only a shitty tarot deck because she wants it to be a shitty tarot deck, but it's really not, guys. I say that very clearly in the campaign. But then you can actually read cards off of it. I actually read cards. So that's me like kind of drawing it out. And then I added some other cards called oracle cards. Now, oracle cards are they're also in form of fortune telling cards, but they're not fit like a certain symbology like the tarot deck or the Lenormand style deck. They can be open. Like somebody says, oh, I withdraw the card spirituality, and it can be whatever it's defined as the picture. And sometimes some decks will have a central theme no matter what they are. Like, let's say flowers. Like I actually supported on Kickstarter a flower tarot deck. And it was all flowers representing the suits. It was a really beautiful deck, and I am collecting it now. So I started, so I did that. And then the next one was that I kind of wanted to do face masks. I was like, okay, let's do face masks. Let's kind of make this going. And I had fans that were asking for it. The problem is that the traditional style face masks that I have, well, I also found out also the weather's getting warmer. So cloth face masks are kind of hard to breathe in because you're sweating. It can be muggy and your breath is like clogging up the cloth. And also the last part was that they were really expensive to do. And if I could get something that was actually marketable, that wasn't horrendously expensive, I only had this much of printable material. And I thought that sucked. I mean, I'm not going to be able to give a good product. So I found out that bandanas would work, and they're legal in a lot of the states. They're illegal in a lot of the areas as face coverings. So, and also it has a secondary use. Like when the pandemic's over, people can use it as a bandana. They can use it as a rag, whatever. And they could just tie it around, and it's like 20 by 20. and it has the, maybe we could take DMT and talk to the coronavirus. And I have that one and random drawings of her and everything with viruses and her stupid gaping mouth and shit and her puking. So that's the second one. And the last one was the pin for the pancreas tits one, because I just had to do it as a pin. And that's actually outlining another line that I wanted to do. Because in my boredom, you probably saw it in some of the videos, if people have followed my videos, I kind of like just started doing thick things that would not normally be women. Like I did Cove Thick 19, and she had big boobs and a big ass with like protein receptors on her head. And I was just joking around. I was screwing around, but that got really popular. So I was like, okay, so I just started doing these dummy thick things. It's like a trend, dummy, DUMMYTHICC, if you guys aren't familiar. So I did dummy thick, and I did the plague doctor as dummy thick for bubonic plague. I was starting to do food porn. And again, these are not sexual. This is like cheesecake. It's like implied. I mean, I did this new one. I just kind of see gags everywhere now, and I have to draw it. So I heard about, Winnie the Pooh being banned in China thanks to South Park because they made an illusion between him and President Xi. So I was like, oh, okay, let me do this. So I drew him as Winnie the Pooh, like with the eyes and everything, like with the actual facial features. Because like when I actually looked at him, I was like, oh shit, he does look like a human Winnie the Pooh. Like I actually drew a picture of him like that, and I put it up in my Kickstarter update. So if you guys go and back my Kickstarter and back my Kickstarter, not only will you see the dummy thick pins that I'm going to release at 2,500, but because these are the stretch goals past 5,500, but I want you to see how great these are going to look. And the thing is that I'll always post like weird shit that I draw in my updates. Like I'll just write weird shit in my updates at all. So like if you guys support it, I'm not going to bore you with shitty updates. I'm going to start writing really weird shit or doing weird things. And I support other creators too. So Kickstarters that you wouldn't have heard of, I would put them up in the updates because you guys will be able to see them. And you guys say, oh yeah, I'll support this one. It's just how I give back to the community too, because quite a lot of the community supports me,
And speaking of support, we've got Luis Torres wanted me to show my tarot cards to you. Now, Luis actually has Lily the Demoness is the title that he's using this from. And then he just finished with his Kickstarter, Ace and Starlet. On each of his Kickstarters, he has as a stretch goal, one of the things on there is the tarot cards. So I have got 15 or 20 of them. I can't remember exactly how many that are available right now, but I'm waiting on the next one he's got coming up in July so I can get more of them. They're done really well and everything. So that's kind of, the tarot cards are actually a big deal on there to do. So it'd be something you definitely want to look into, because I could see where with your stuff, you could definitely do the tarot cards and it would sell pretty well.
Yeah, I'll see how it goes with it. I mean, it's not that I am going like, no, I don't want to do it. It's just like, for me, if I don't get in that mode of doing it, it's like it doesn't go bam. If I'm not inspired to do it, it comes out bad. And then I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm an artist and I need to have it. Like, just kind of, I have to give myself space to kind of incubate it before it comes out. And I'm pretty sure I will at some. I'm actually a high functioning aspie, and I work hard not to be an asshole because I get in a zone and don't bother myself with jerks. Well, if you don't give a fuck anymore, Meredith, that's fine. It's like, if people are being dicks to you, I mean, it's just like, you don't deserve my time. So they don't deserve your time if they're being dicks to you. You're just like, okay, well, whatever. And I don't think you're an asshole if a person is being irritating to you. You're just like, look, I'm done. I'm disconnecting now. That's not asshole-ish. That's, okay, I'm done.
No, Meredith is good people. I will go ahead and back her on that one and say that she is good people. She may not deal with all of the best people on her other, in her endeavors and whatnot. And sometimes you just have to kind of go, not even worth it.
Or fuck with them.
Yeah.
Because this is what I do. Because what I have noticed every Kickstarter that's successful, I notice this one thing. Some dude sends me a dick pic. Now, I don't get them very often, but when I do, oh, they're comedy gold. Like, I go off on it. Because I look at them as this. Like, I've had other guys say, I hate other dudes, man. Why do they do that? I said, back in the day, you would have people that expose themselves indecently or be a flasher. Like, they're like a flasher, except they think that it's not as legally repercussive as if they actually went up to you physically and flashed themselves. And the most recent one, and I put it up on my Facebook because the internet is great. I have like an album called The Internet is Funny or something. I forgot what it was. But obviously I have to draw over it or else it would be porn. I don't really also want to subjugate people to the dick. Because I certainly as hell didn't want to. But it's funny because this guy, like, he had such a weird ass one that all these women were asking me, now I have to see this. Now I have to see this. And I'm like, all right. So I just send it to them. They're like, oh God. So what it was is that I friend people that are fans, that's fine. I'm pretty open to it. And if somebody's being fucking irritating, I'll just tell them to go fuck off or I'll block them. It's online. It's whatever. I know people go like, oh, online. It's like, you can just block them and just get rid of them, man. Like you don't need to deal with it. So what I did is that I was just drawing, I was working or something. And I happened to look up and this dude this dude's message pops up and there's his dick. But it's like, like the first thing out of my mind and out of my mouth when I typed it out, I was like, that thing looks malformed. Like it really was a weird looking dick. I swear to God, like it looked like somebody once described it. It looked like a tube sock filled with oatmeal. I thought that dude had cancer. Like did you have penile cancer or something? And like the moment I said that, and I was like, are you okay? What's wrong? And then I saw him just delete it. Of course I screenshotted. He deleted it. And then he said, I'm sorry, my mistake. He says, what do you mean what's wrong? And I'm like, so it took me a moment because it happened so fast. I like just did it. And I look back and I'm like, oh my God. So I sent it to some of my friends. I said, dude, check this out. Because we all have fucked up senses of humor. I sent it to them and they were laughing. So I put it up on some of my groups. Of course, I had to censor his name out and censor the wiener because like that's not going to be accepted on Facebook. And I drew like a kraken over it because it was such a weird looking one. And then all these women were like, dude, what does that look like? Come on. I'm like, you don't want it. Okay, fine. And it got so many women were asking me for this dick pic that I eventually I think what ended up happening is that Facebook wouldn't let me send it anymore to any more people I wasn't friends with. So I eventually had to say like, okay, if you really want to see it, friend me because it's not letting me send it. And so it was like, man, I feel bad for this guy. Eventually he's going to drop trow and the pictures of his cock are going to be all over. And some girl he'll be with, like, I remember this. It's Chernobyl dick. Because it looked like a Chernobyl dick. Like it just fucking came from Chernobyl. And one of these women actually took a play off the British term bell end. And so we call him Chernobyl, and it was bad. Like I sent that to my guy friends and we were laughing. But it's just, I guess I'm merciless. It's like he literally deleted that picture right after I said that. But I managed to catch it.
No, I'm trying to think here. You've mentioned about having some friends with some demented mentality and everything. Speaking of which, with your daily show, because that gets interesting at times. I've been in there quite a few times. And of course, it has to be a little more, I'm not going to say PG by any means, but it's definitely, it's toned down to a degree. But the innuendos and everything are hilarious because you'll say something or someone else will say something and everybody just runs with it in there and has a blast with it. Go ahead and talk about your daily show that you've got and what goes on in there and tell people they need to show up for that.
Oh, so I draw stuff. That's the innocent part of it. I have fans that have really fucked up senses of humor. They're going to say shit. So I sit down and sometimes I'm drawing the thing that I'm actually working on for somebody else if they're okay with it. Sometimes I'll do a new demon bitch. Usually it started off as I would do a new demon bitch or be working on a cartoon and people could watch me and I'll talk to them. There's also ones where I just draw random shit and I because my brain is mush because you sometimes just don't have it to draw. So I'll just draw I don't care. And people watch me doodle and stuff and people really like it. Do you want me to really show?
Yep.
Sorry, I spat. But yeah, there was one that was insane. I was doing a kid's book with a raccoon in it. And a lot of my viewers are Black men and we all have fucked up senses of humor. So I said, yeah, I'm drawing Stripey, the courthouse raccoon, and it's a wonderful kid's book. It's about Stripey getting rid of bandits and things. And well, some of my audience, who is African American men with very, very evil senses of humor, started saying all sorts of shit, and I'm not going to repeat what they said. And I was like, oh my God, you guys. And they were saying, oh, we'll stop. I'm like, I'm just going to let you guys do what you're going to do. Because, I mean, they weren't overtly saying everything, but I was like, you guys are having too much fun. All right, fine. It's like nobody that isn't supposed to be saying stuff like this. You guys do the thing. And it was just, they were saying them in such innuendo ways. I'm like, and ironically, I was like even telling them, I remember reading The Red Fern Grows and they use that word, but it wasn't like in the context, the bad context. It was like short for raccoon.
Right.
So I like, when I heard that, I was like, I never knew that was a slur. I mean, because when you read Where the Red Fern Grows, it's actually a really good book. Mm-hmm. It's about a boy and his 2 dogs. Okay. And they just go raccoon hunting, and that's how they get money and stuff. And they move out of the Ozarks, and it's really sad because one of the dogs die and both of them die. And sorry to spoil it for you, but it was a good book. And I was even telling my audience, like, yeah, I had never heard for a while before that, like in that context. Usually I thought it was short for raccoon, but then they were all going on with the other meaning. And that was interesting. I was like, oh, you fuckers.
Just like today, you had a different drawing because I came in there, it was about, you'd been doing it for about 10 minutes or so. So you had a good little bit of the drawing done. And everybody kept coming in and asking, what are you drawing? What are you drawing? And you kept saying she. And so we're all kind of looking at it going, okay. And someone mentioned, that's a sexy she. And I don't remember who it was that said it, but it was like sex she. And you took it and ran with that name on there. And that was just the ongoing joke from then on, because if you'll explain who she is so that everybody will know out here.
Okay. Right now, President Xi, he is the leader of the Communist Party in China. You probably have heard on many news networks, I won't get into it, but the current contentious state of China versus everybody else at this point, just because of what's the current events going on and how they handled it on their end. So, and how they handled it with Hong Kong and Taiwan, and it's just this whole blow up of everything. So to parody or to kind of just make fun of the situation, because I figured why the hell not? Because, I mean, first of all, we started on dummy thick, whatever. I mean, you have people like making dummy thick dolphins and stuff with big boobs and big tits and big asses. And I don't know where that, I said, fine, let's just be random. So I just thought of President Xi as Winnie the Pooh. And I didn't know the whole thing of South Park. So I looked at President Xi and I looked at Winnie the Pooh. I'm like, oh shit, he looks like Winnie the Pooh and a human. So I just started drawing him like Winnie the Pooh. Like I sketched out kind of a rough Winnie the Pooh, and then I started drawing in his features. And my friends were laughing. Like I have a friend who is Chinese and he's like not happy about the situation. When I showed him that, he was laughing. So we were just making puns on his name. Like I did one called Pushi, like Pushin, but Pushy, and it's like him in the communist coat and everything. I got to release that in the update tomorrow, I think, when I release this. But then there was other ones like Sexy, like that same friend was saying, okay, you need to go and draw him like Morgan from Darkstalkers with the bat wings and shit because of all that. I'm like, okay, man. And like, I just did it dummy thick. And it was like Sexy. Like I was like going President Xi. Like I couldn't really think of anything. And then it was Jay, one of the guys, Jay. He said sexy, and I'm like, oh, great, that works. And it's just like he's got the Huawei tattoo. I say he, but it's like obviously a woman, but with a haircut and the eyes and like the sexy woman, and it's like these huge tits, and one says oppression and corruption on each one in Chinese, in Mandarin. I didn't draw it very well. And then it's just like they got the Chinese communist colors and got the big ass and with the bat wings and the bats and stuff.
And you put the tattoo with the stars on the ass.
Oh yeah, I put like the Chinese Communist Party like stars on the butt and everything. Let me actually pull it up. Give me a moment. I'll pull it up.
It was great.
Yeah, it was just like people really thought it was funny, and it was like I sent it to my friend because he's been sharing it too, and he liked the Pushin one and he liked the Pooh. The Pooh was good. Like I released the Pooh one and people are fucking laughing their asses off. Let me go find this because it's like I call it plague sketches, so it's all this weird hilarity shit that I have to deal with. So oh damn it, stop that. Hold on, let me pull it up. Windows is kind of a bear.
Oh, it happens.
Let's see here. No, don't do that. Hold on. This is being annoying. Give me a moment. Let me try
Oh,
to
you're fine.
There we go. So if you want to, I'll share the screen. So I'll share the screen real quick.
Okay.
So yeah,
There
we're
we
looking.
go. That is great.
So I sent that to my friend because he says, you got to do this like Darkstalkers. I said, fine, I'll do it. So it's the bat wings with the Chinese Communist Party flag on the ass, big boobs, like the whole oppressive, like it was just like on my friend's thing. Like they were all, because they're all upset about Taiwan and how Hong Kong has been treated. So they said, I said, well, I'll have to draw with big titties. And they said, oh, big anime titties, smothering the face of people with oppression and corruption. I said, okay. So I just drew this thing. And then Huawei is basically one of the Chinese companies that's been actually implicated, if not found, for espionage, both industrial espionage and governmental espionage, which is not good. That's why Huawei is in big trouble. So I just drew this Huawei tattoo, like on there, like, hey,
No, that was great. It was fun because while you were doing it, like I said, we were having a blast and they were talking about it and just the energy that's involved around there. So definitely, if you're around and see that she's on there, definitely follow her. On Facebook and everything. You can go ahead and jump on there whenever she does that. And what time do you do that every day?
12:30 Pacific Standard Time PM. So
Okay.
it's 12:30 to 1:30. So it's Monday through Friday because I
Mm-hmm.
keep the weekends off just to kind of rest up and everything. So I know I do 1-2 comic talk on Saturdays too. And I'm going to have a huge ass marathon because we're going to be interviewing another artist and then they're going to be interviewing me about it. And then we're going to be comic State of the Union. So that'll be going to like, God. So yeah, I'm pretty busy, but yeah. So that's what I do. I just do random stuff. Sometimes I'll just doodle. Sometimes I'll do whatever and we'll talk about things. Sometimes like people throw me ideas to draw and I'll do it. I won't do it all the time because sometimes I'm in the middle of like doing a thing. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not like I'm drawing random things like all the time. Like sometimes I'm actually focused on doing the thing instead of, but I'll tell a person right out, like not in this one, but maybe
Yeah.
next time or something.
Cool. Very cool. Well, we've had a blast having you on here this evening, and I hope you've enjoyed your time here as well. And we've gotten a lot of information out there, and definitely you want to go to the Kickstarter and jump on there. Remember, support means many different things. It means even the power of the finger. Make sure you use the correct one. Hit that share button. And, because if you can't financially support, because, I can only financially support as much as I can, and then that's as far as I can go. And I know a lot of people are the same way, but there is no excuse for not sharing. So just share this thing out because somebody's going to end up jumping on this thing and going ahead and taking care of that because we're very close to getting to that goal to go ahead and start opening up some other things on there, which would be amazing. And 25 days left, that's plenty of time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like the first week was pretty meteoric. I started last Wednesday and I got almost $1,000 in the first day. And this week has been kind of like rough, but it kind of feels like the same energy as my last Kickstarter because like there was one week where it was really kind of tough. Like I was getting pledges on a positive level, but it was hard. But that was the week of like Kobe Bryant dying, all this other stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
just all one thing after another. It made everything heavier. So it's like it was good that I came out, but so it kind of feels like this week because of all the stuff that's been happening. So it's like next week, hopefully things will be more relaxed. I think they should be. So, right?
Now, Russell put a comment in here, and you can't see comments. I guess I'm going to go ahead and put this one up here. I really shouldn't because it gives you a lot of power, gives him even more power.
I think you need to
So
drop Phil as a
that's the first part of it.
Well, I don't know Phil that well, but I'm sure I can. I could probably. I could probably. I could probably like. Well, I can do it right now if we can do this. Let me do this. All right. Let's.
Thanks, Russell.
Yeah, I draw quick, so it'll have to be a quick little dummy sketch. So let me see if I can share it.
Yeah, it's
Oh, are
showing
we
up.
sharing the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's go do this. All right, let me just do this new one. I'll give it to you, Russell. Give it to you. Okay. Let me get rid of this frame. I hate this frame. Like I'm trying to get this thing and just doing this stupid stuff. Okay, here. So what I do is do this. So you're going to get like a sample of what I draw.
Yes, Russell, the pantsless demon Phil. Yes, yay.
Okay, let's just do this.
Russell just said make it a stretch goal.
You got to get to the goal first. Guys got to drop some coin for that stuff. You know, I don't want to seem like a jerk. It's just like that's the point of the stretch goal. Guys, got to get me to like what is it, 2,261? You got to get me to 2,500. I'm going to reveal all sorts of shit. So should I make him dummy thick?
If you're asking me, I would say, we're okay with just doing regular. If you're asking Russell, he's gonna be like, oh yeah, thick.
You are a very confused man, Russell.
You have no idea.
Is he a buddy of yours?
Yeah, a friend of mine from on here. So I haven't met him physically or anything by any means, but yeah, from on here. He's a good guy.
All right.
And while you're doing this, I'll go ahead and give a shout out to Russell because he has actually got a book that is in the works that hopefully will be coming out by the end of the year, I believe is what he's pushing for on there. Xenonanite Titan. I think I got that right this time, Russell.
So this is the regular version. I'll do another drawing too. So there's Demon Phil right there.
Meredith said, this is so fun to watch. Demon Phil. Go wild and crazy. I don't think Phil gets offended easily. No, he does not.
Okay, so Demon Phil, right?
Wow. Russell said, make him deep dish. Thank you. Appreciate that, Russell, because, you know, little pantsless pizza thing.
Now we do this. Let's go and make this dummy thick right there.
Oh.
Let me see. All right. Okay. So I got to get an idea like how.
Yeah. Whenever you get done, you'll have to send it to me in my email, it's Christie, so I can print this up because I can print it up on some really good paper here and have it right behind me during shows.
Right. So it's like that whole dummy thick thing. We got to do the pentagram and shit. So, you know, it just doesn't make sense to do it like that, you know. This is really, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me, but hey.
Yeah, I know, Russell. I know you are. I'm actually enjoying this too, in case you can't tell. I'm smiling up a storm over here. Russell said, oh my God, I'm loving this.
Oh, yeah. I feel so dirty now.
I think we actually gained a few viewers since you've been doing this.
So there we go with a dummy thick thing. That is some crazy shit. I don't even know what the hell. So there we go. There's dummy. Oop. Dummy thick right there.
Oh, yeah. I do me. Mm-hmm.
That's like the weird one. And then the other one, so you get two for the price of one.
Meredith said, I'm crying.
There we go. So that's like the standard one. There's that one where I don't know what the hell this person's leg is. It's just like, all right, let's make it awful. Like
you made me a hell of a lot more flexible than I actually am. So that's a testament there.
Right? So there you go, man. Right. Hold on. Big. Okay, so it's big. So I got to go and do this. So I got to make the legs like at least a little bit more. There you go.
Russell said, Phil, what big eyes you have. Hey, Russell, my eyes are up here. You need to make sure you remember that. My eyes are up here.
Like, how dare you use me?
I am not a piece of meat.
I am a human being. God, that's so bad. We're quoting the Elephant Man.
I am
Oh,
not an animal.
I am not an animal. There we go. Wow.
Yeah, that is great.
And then this one is just like a standard demon size. I'll send you both of those.
Very cool. Thank you very much on that.
You're welcome. I'm going to save these. Say this is 1 and 2.
And Russell said, well, first of all, he said, thank God it wasn't real. And then he said, I'm going to wake up in the morning and check for boobs.
Like, we do this because we are mature.
Yes, mature. We'll go with that word. Yes, that works.
Because I am mature. I draw boobs and stuff. Oh, wait, here. It's
Yeah, because
like
I would never have anything like this around with my stuff ever. What?
I just draw the worst things ever. That's all people have to do.
And Meredith said, Phil, you're officially a piece of meat now. Now,
so much
I
for the
know,
male gaze.
yeah, exactly. And I know, so Meredith is going to be on my show tomorrow night with Unscripted that I have every Saturday. That's going to be an interesting show, I can tell already. Christy, you're definitely going to have to come in and be in the audience for that one. It's every Saturday at 11 p.m. Eastern time. I have Unscripted, which is basically my regular show, but with no rules on YouTube only.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, send me a link too. I think I should remember, or send me a reminder. It's just because sometimes my brain gets full. I'm sorry. Thanks, Christy. I need that after this week. Yeah, I think so. Like, this week has been hell. Like, it's Phil's new song.
I'm gonna have to start that with every show now from now on.
You're like, I do me. Come on, I do me. Hey.
Knowing how Russell is over there, he has done some amazing photoshopping on me, and has posted a few things with my permission, of course. And so I can only imagine what he'd be coming up with all this. So yeah, going to be interesting.
This is another travesty of God. Oh, she needs a seat at that table.
I agree. As it stands right now, though, Meredith, I think that the panel is full for tomorrow. For some reason, everybody wants to be a part of the panel now. It's becoming a blast on Saturdays. So if you're in the audience, though, and this goes for you, Christy, and anyone else who wants to come up to the show, if you're out there and we have an open seat, if you want to jump on, simply send me a message. I will send you the link. You jump on. It's all good. The only thing is there are 4 basic rules. There is no politics, no religion, no drama, and no negativity. As long as you can abide by those, we're good.
I think we kind of blew that out of the window with the fucking drawings that I put up here.
Oh no, it was great. Trust me. And Facebook hasn't shut me down yet, so I think I'm okay.
Well, and then there was President Xi, so we kind of screwed that up. I'm just joking. I was just joking. I mean, it was just more of like, what were you drawing? I was just being silly.
Yeah. Now Russell said we need to move to OBS or a couple other ones you can use where you can get a ton of people. The only problem, Russell, is whenever there are like 9 to 12 people or more type thing on there, it's hard to do anything. If I can, I mean, in a 2-hour show, I can get one question out to every member on the panel, and that's about it.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So it gets interesting that way.
Sometimes it's like I can only handle 1 or 2. Like sometimes I do Google Hangouts through OBS and record it that way, but then you don't see yourself.
Right.
So you're like, okay, well, whatever.
Yeah, and this problem has been averted now, Russell. I no longer get kicked off my own show because I have a webcam now, so it's no longer going through my phone.
Oh yeah, like through mobile, it'll go crazy or something. I know about that. So like here, I'm at my desktop because it's like easier. Because if you're on your phone, like that, and it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't like doing it on the phone. Like that's why it's like if I make a webcam appointment, I try to stick it with this.
Well, Christy, I could keep you on here all night long and everything, but I'm gonna go ahead and let you go for now. If you will, whenever I put you backstage after you've gone ahead and done your closing and everything, I'll do my closing statement, and then I'll meet you back here whenever we're done. But I'm going
Gotcha.
to go ahead and give you the full screen right now. If you'll go ahead and tell us one last time who you are, what you do, how to find you, and they need to go over there and back Demon Bitch.
Okay, well, my name is Christie Shinn. I'm the creator of Demon Bitch here behind me. I draw mean comics that make people laugh, and I'm doing a Kickstarter on the Shitty Tarot. And I just want to let you know you'll get a lot of goodies. And really, I'm actually only less than $250 away from doing the enamel pin reveal, which shows big titties about things that you would not normally have big titties on. So my goal is at 5,500. I've got 25 days to go. So please back me, because you will be getting more stuff on top of not only those pins, but you'll get the pancreas with tits pins. That's what I have already up there. And then I already have the dusty face mask bandana thing that you can wear, showing that you survived coronavirus, and you could use it for other things like mopping up cat piss.
Well, thank you very much for being here, and I look forward to having you back on here as a guest as well. So, and definitely keep in mind with the unscripted, we'll talk about that here just a little bit, but I will see you
Sure.
here very shortly.
Okay, that sounds great.
All right. All right, so we had Christie Shinn up here. We had a blast with this. I laughed a little bit harder than I expected that I was going to. And y'all got a really great picture of me to go ahead and keep in your memory or therapy sessions, whichever way you want to look at that. But hey, it was fun. So that's the main thing. Now, I always have a closing statement, and tonight's not going to be any different than that. I never script it, I never write anything down. I simply go by what's going on with the interview and kind of draw off of that. So with this one, I kind of get an idea of something that I wanted to go off of here, which is how to redirect your emotions. Now, what I mean by that is there was a lot of things brought up in here about bad experiences and things that happen and all, and there are a couple of different ways things can be handled, and there's always a different way it can be handled that's not in a bad way that's going to get either you or someone else in trouble or something like that. You can actually go ahead and kind of redirect by focusing your anger, your stress, your sadness, whatever, into something artistic, putting it out there, having some fun with it, and maybe having a laugh or two with it. Sometimes, as long as you can laugh at the things that are going on in your life, then maybe other people around you will laugh with you instead of at you. So, redirection of your emotions may be something you want to look at in the future. I know it's definitely something that I'm going to look at a lot closer on my side. So, that's my closing statement for the evening. Thank you, everyone, for being on here, and I hope you enjoyed the show and the print of me, which will be printed out here very shortly so that I have that as well. And no, I will not be selling those to anybody. So you won't be getting those. But have a great night and always keep it indie, y'all.